my reason for being here is from an equally split career. But let me tell you a little bit more about where that sort of split has occurred. So now, as that slide says, I'm a Professor of Government Practice at Manchester, but I'm also Vice Dean of Humanities. And on top of that, I'm also a Director of the new ESRC funded Productivity Institute, and my theme is on policy, governance and institutions. And the reason I'm focusing on policy is because most of my background is actually being a policymaker. I spent 10, 15 years working in Whitehall, partly as a civil servant in the Treasury and the Department for Education, but then as a special advisor and then as a civil servant again on science and industrial policy and on skills and education policy. So it's that background, if you like, that I've brought into a social science career since, and I sit in the School of Social Sciences in Manchester, and my interests are continuing in things like skills policy, R&D, science and innovation, and probably most recently on place and regional inequality, and obviously what we're all now calling levelling up. So put all that together, and it's very hard to avoid manufacturing. It's very hard to not think about why manufacturing is important, how it's important, how it can be more important in certain places, and how it can be supported as a sector through government policy, through R&D, through different types of intervention, whether they be regulatory or funding terms. And how that might address, what we in the Productivity Institute and others would describe as kind of, the very, 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 very unequal spatial kind of nature of England and the UK. So that kind of a combination of sort of roots to where I am and me telling you this story has kind of led to quite a lot of interesting pieces of work over the last few years. I've been heavily involved in industrial strategy. I kind of wrote one in government, and I've probably spent most of the last 10 years critiquing others. I was on the Industrial Strategy Commission, did a lot of work for the Industrial Strategy Council. I have done quite a lot of place-based work on different aspects of industrial strategy. So a couple of years ago, I was part of the Welsh Government's Digital Innovation Review, which looked at manufacturing as a kind of big strand of its work. And then I've done a lot of work in Greater Manchester on its industrial strategy, on its prosperity review, which informed the industrial strategy. And it was in those rooms and those processes that I sort of first got to know Jürgen Meyer, and obviously got to know his interests in both establishing and then kind of delivering the Made Smarter work. I've also done quite a lot of work for the EU and the OECD on industrial transition, and over the last couple of days I've been at a conference with European partners, North American partners, and UK partners, looking at how you revitalise former industrial areas, not just in kind of the Midlands and the north of England, but in areas like the Ruhr Valley in Germany, northeast France, and the Rust Belt in the United States. So it's that for me, that kind of coming together of kind of what policy has tried to do over many years, what it's trying to do over the next few years, and kind of our input into that as manufacturing experts, as social scientists, as researchers on science or R&D policy, innovation policy, technology policy. It's where all those things come together, and the kind of nexus, if you like, that probably best describes where I sit at the moment and where my interests are. So I'm really interested to see where this network leads, and whether there's anything from that I can offer to anybody here, both at this meeting and kind of, wherever we go from here.